Hey everyone, Rachel Jensen here, broker owner of Luna Realty Belize in the beautiful country of Belize. We are back to being in the inbox today, which is when we take questions that have been asked to us on Facebook, WhatsApp, email, and answer them for you here in this session. We are on question number 89 today, and we're going to jump into this. This is from Denise, and she said, I'm interested in buying property in Belize. Where do you recommend I look? And this is a great question. Obviously, this is from somebody who has not yet had the chance to visit Belize. So first and foremost, I always recommend that you come to Belize to see the places in person. Although it's a small country, each of the different areas where expats are buying or people are buying have a very, very different feel to it. So if I don't know you personally, if you're not a good friend of mine, then I can't answer this question for you because I don't necessarily know you and what it is that you like and what you're looking for. But with that being said, I'm going to give you some tidbits about some of the popular areas. And then from there, you can decide where you want to continue looking and then continue the real estate search there. So the country of Belize is about 400,000 people in total population wise, a little bit more, a little bit less. Size wise, it's about the size of Massachusetts. So although it's small, like I was just saying, each area has a very different feel to it. Ambergris Caye and Caye Caulker, while they're two of the most popular keys off the coast of Belize mainland, they also have very different feels. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the six top hotspots where we're seeing people are owning and if it's a place that may be attractive for you. So obviously in Belize, you probably heard this from a lot of the media that you've been watching, is that English is the official language, but you will also hear Spanish and Creole spoken. It's also not uncommon for locals to be able to speak all three languages, and then you'll hear sentences that have all three languages mixed into one. It's pretty fun. The currency that's used here is the Belize dollar, although you will tend to see most real estate is priced in US dollar, Belize dollar to US dollar to Belize to one US. So whenever you see something priced in the US, let's say a bag of chips is 10 Belize dollars, we cut that in half to be 5 US dollars. But again, real estate rental prices, those do tend to be in US dollars. If you're not sure when you're looking at the property, I would just double check with the agent or whoever it is that's marketing the property. And then just from from some geography side, we border Mexico to the northern part of the country and then Guatemala over here to the western side of the country. And then in addition to that, we border the Caribbean Sea. And then there's also the Bay of Chetumal in this area right over here. So small country, but it is so magical. It has so many hidden gems to it. And it is probably, in my opinion, one of the prettiest places on earth. You have the Caribbean, you have the Bay, you have the jungle, you have the Mountain Pine Ridge area in Cayo. It's just a really, really stunning country. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to what's important to you. Everybody has different goals and intentions in mind when they're looking at real estate, and not everybody likes the same thing. It's like in the United States, somebody says, I want to move to the United States. Okay, well, what are you looking for and where you're moving to? So when you're looking at property here in the country, think about the logistics. What I mean by the logistics is access. So here in Belize, not every road is paved. You may need a vehicle in order to get to places. During rainy season, are you able to access the property? These are all things that you do have to think about when you are looking at your real estate. In addition to that, do you need to be in close proximity to hospitals, schools, grocery stores, fruit stands? Are you trying to walk everywhere? Will you have a bike? Do you need that vehicle like we were just saying? Do you need a golf cart? These are, again, very important things to be thinking about. Other things to be considering is the proximity to activities. So beaches, mountains, hiking. Do you like being on the Caribbean? Do you like fishing? Do you like diving? Is it important for you to have access to hiking trails? Do you prefer to be in a jungle sort of setting, or do you want to be on the beach? I have had a lot of people reach out with interest in Cayo, but then they're like, all right, well, we want to be close to the beach. Well, Cayo is about 2 hours away from the beach. So important for you to prioritize what's important to you from the get-go. In addition to that, is it important for you to be connected up to the grid? And I say this because there are many properties in Belize that don't have public water, and don't have public electricity. But the contractors, the builders, homeowners here have figured it out. They have water catchment systems, they use solar, they have generators. So there are solutions to that. But if you're not prepared for that, then you probably want to be looking at a place that has utilities. In addition to that, what size of land are you looking for? We've had people reach out and tell us they want to be within a development on Ambergris Caye, a single family home development, and have a few acres. Well, that's not quite a thing on Ambergris Caye. If that's something that's important to you, then you may want to be looking in an area such as Placencia. In addition to that, do you want to be in a local or an expat area? And it really is important for you to know what it means to be in a local or expat area. Sometimes you get people who are like, I want to live where the locals live, but at the end of the day, they don't necessarily think that maybe locals don't have air conditioning. Maybe locals don't have hot water. You do tend to find in local neighborhoods, there are a lot of dogs and chickens and roosters. So those are noises that you will be expecting to hear if you are in a local area, especially one that is more dense than places with a lot of acreage. Now, if you're looking for an investment property, you want to be looking where people are going. This tends to be why Ambergris Caye is the number one location for people who are looking for investments. Number one key, Ambergris Caye is the number one destination in the entire country for tourism. But if you're looking for land appreciation or rental income or being in the path of progress, then those areas may be different. If your goal is to land bank, but you want to be selling next year, well, then you're going to be looking at it in a different area than if you were planning to land bank and hold on for 15 years. Or maybe you wanted to buy land now and relocate here later, right? That would be important for you then coming back to the logistics question of understanding what's important for you when it comes to your new property. Now, I do also want to mention in Belize, it's very hard to give timelines for things. I've had people reach out to say, I hear this international airport is going on the north side of Ambergris Caye. Well, they've been talking about that for about 15 years at this point, and there really hasn't been much happening about it. I tend to believe things when I see that it's actually happening, because there's a lot of hearsay. There are a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes that may not necessarily be public information. So best to buy what you see and not necessarily what is promised to you. So these are the 6 areas that we're going to talk about. These tend to be the 6 areas that we find many expats and foreigners are owning property for a variety of reasons. Some want to be in the touristy areas. Some want to be by the beach, but in a quieter area. Others want to have acreage or want to have a garden or be farming. Then they'd be in that Caye area. So each location here is quite different, and I'm going to give you a little bit more information about each of them. So again, this is the country of Belize, where that star is. That's Belize City International. That's where the only international airport is for the entire country. So if you're flying into Belize, this is where it is that you're going to land. Now we have something called puddle jumpers. Puddle jumpers are those little 15 passenger planes, and they'll take you out to the Keys. They'll take you down to Placencia. They'll take you up to Corozal. They have an airport in Dangriga as well. And there's also a water taxi that will take you back and forth between the northern Keys over here and Belize City. So the transportation around the country, I'd say, is good. There are buses as well if you want to get from one location to another. There are no planes at this point that are going from Belize City to Cayo. So this is going to be a drive about an hour and a half to go from Belize City to the Cayo district, specifically to San Ignacio. About an hour to Belmopan, but about an hour and a half to San Ignacio over here. But otherwise, we'll have a whole different conversation about the transportation here in Belize. So we're going to start at the northern part of the country in the Corozal district. So Corozal town specifically is one popular area where we're finding people are relocating to. You tend to have really affordable real estate here compared to other parts of the country, but we see a big retirement population moving up to Corozal. Now, there aren't necessarily a ton of amenities in this town. It is a very quiet, sleepy fishing village, but what it does have is very quick access to Mexico. So you can see right over across the border, right here, if you follow my cursor, this is Mexico Chetumal, which has some great medical care, has the shopping like Home Depot and Sam's Club is right over the border. And it takes about 30 minutes to go from Corozal to Chetumal. So if you're somebody that needs better access or quicker access to medical care, or you really enjoy doing those shoppings at those big stores, then Corozal could be a place for you. Now, the population here is for the entire district. You'll see about 10,000 people. You do tend to have a lot of villages, smaller villages in this area, but Corozal town is the primary town. Sartaneja is another town in the Corozal district that you will hear people are relocating to. It does, like I was mentioning, tend to be quieter, but we do see more retirees moving up here because it does have that quick access to Mexico. The next place that we're going to mention is Caye Caulker. So Caye Caulker has this go slow mentality, and it is the sister island to Ambergris Caye. It's a much smaller version. It's what they say Ambergris Caye was 20, 30 years ago. From the Belize City International Airport, it's only about 23 miles, 10 minutes by puddle jumper, 1 hour by water taxi. Population is still small, about 2,000 people here. So you really have that small town, small village, small town feel. Everybody knows everyone, and it's a really close-knit community. So you do tend to see Caye Caulker historically has been more popular for Europeans and for backpackers. You didn't necessarily have that luxury marketing Caye Caulker. We are starting to see that, though, on the northern side of the island, just across the split, is there are some higher end developments going up there. But if you are on Caye Caulker, I recommend around 4:30 you go over to the west side of the island, and there is a stingray feeding that happens there. It's pretty neat to see all the stingrays come up. They also have little seahorses over there, and that's a pretty neat experience. It is kind of hard to see seahorses though. I don't know if you've seen them before, but they're little guys, and they're hard to spot, but you do get to see them. In addition to that, I think we went past Ambergris Caye. We did go past Ambergris. Let's come back here for a minute to Ambergris Caye. This is the country's #1 tourism destination. It started off in the 70s as a prime diving and fishing location because it parallels the reef. The reef, if you can follow my cursor, just rides along the coast of Ambergris Caye. And so San Pedro really was just fishing and diving, but over the years has really expanded into more of a family market. So you have people who may not necessarily be water bugs, but are coming to enjoy the golf carts. It's a very family friendly, safe environment as well. So you do tend to have this be the most popular place in the entire country. With that being said, there's more development happening here. Real estate prices are appreciating faster in Ambergris Caye compared to other parts because this island continues to see a majority of the tourism traffic in the entire country. Now, with that being said, there are always pros and cons to that, right? Pros is that you're going to have access to things that you may not necessarily have access to in other parts of the countries, a variety of restaurants, different types of restaurants, places that are open later than in other parts of the country because they're serving that tourism market. As a result, this also tends to be an area that has a lot of expats because it does have the amenities and the services that people are looking for when they are relocating. So this is a very popular area, like we were saying, for the fishing, diving. Fishing, you tend to see a lot of fly fishermen coming out here, also the reef fishermen who are coming here. Also, of course, snorkeling. There's a very family-friendly place called Holchan, just on the southern part of Ambergris Caye, which is where you have nurse sharks and stingrays and just a variety of colorful marine life right off of the coast of Ambergris Caye. If you're here in town, I definitely recommend doing of course, Holchan and Shark Alley for snorkel, but then What the Food Tour. This is really neat. It's a local couple that started this company that will take you to different hotspots, some hidden gems in San Pedro, some restaurants, and have you try the local cuisine here. So it's a great intro into Ambergris Caye food and into Belizean food. I would do it early on in your trip so that you know some of the local spots to go to. So, all right. So again, Belize City right over here, it's about 40 miles. So this is just a little bit further north compared to Caye Caulker. It's about a 15-minute pedal jumper and an hour and 30 minutes by water taxi. So you're also able to get back and forth between Ambergris Caye and Caye Caulker by water taxi. It only takes about 30 minutes to do so. But that's a popular day trip for people who are perhaps in one island and want to hop over to the other island, is just taking that water taxi. A very scenic, beautiful, the turquoise blues that you see here on the screen is exactly what you're going to be seeing when you're on that water taxi or flying over to the Keys. Now, we did talk about Caye Caulker. Like I said, Caye Caulker is the quieter version of Ambergris Caye. Go slow is the mentality there. They don't have many vehicles, motorized vehicles, a lot of walking and also bike riding. So now we're going to jump over to the Cayo district. The Cayo district is about an hour and a half drive. I say San Ignacio specifically, this town, about an hour and a half drive from the Belize City Airport. Population of the entire district here is about 100,000. But within the Cayo district, we have towns like San Ignacio, Santa Elena, Belmopan, which is the capital for the country, is located here in Cayo. There's also Mountain Pine Ridge, which is a beautiful part of the country that you can see the waterfalls over here, waterfalls and pine trees and tons of hiking, ATVing, a real outdoor sort of environment. Also in the Cayo areas where you'll find the lush jungles, you'll find one of my favorite activities, which is the pontoon ride on the McCall River. It's like a homemade pontoon, and you can jump off the boat, go up to the different waterfalls. They have a little beach area over there. Probably one of my favorite experiences I've had in Belize. We've done it quite a few times now, and every time I really enjoy it. It's a bit of a trip to get there. It takes about an hour on rough road from Benque, which is the border town right over here, and then you'll come down to the river, but it is so unbelievably worth it. But here in the Cayo district is also where you have Spanish Lookout. It's a very big Mennonite population. Mennonites are big producers in the agricultural and cattle industry, so you get really fresh food out here. You can see the bottom picture from the San Ignacio Farmers Market, where there's going to be tons of fresh produce there on a regular basis because it's right here in your backyard. If you're somebody who wants to garden or farm, or you just enjoy having some tropical plants on your property, this could be a great place for you because there's very fertile agricultural soil here. So if you are somebody that wants to be close to the beach, then this may not necessarily be the right property for you or the right area for you, because it does take about 2 hours to get to Hopkins or to get to any beach destinations over here. But in turn, what you have are the rivers and the waterfalls and other water features, but not necessarily the Caribbean or the beaches or the Bay of Chetumal. Hopkins is one of my favorite places personally here in the country. It is still a small fishing village. It has Garifuna roots, so it's a very colorful, vibrant town. You have a lot of really delicious Garifuna food. You'll hear a lot of music as well, and just a big cultural part for the country here. What I personally like about Hopkins is the fact that you're on the water, but you can be in the parks. So Bokawina and then Coxcomb Basin is about a 25-minute ride from Hopkins, and there you have hiking trails. There's also a jaguar reserve in Coxcomb Basin. So there's also just a lot, best of both worlds. There's also a river, the City River, that runs on the other side of Hopkins. So if you're somebody who wants a river property versus being there on the Caribbean, then you do have those options as well. It's about a 2-hour ride from Belize City, maybe a little bit less now on the coastal highway, but this is a great option if you just want to be in a smaller town. As you can see, population is small, about 2,000 people. So you're not necessarily going to have all the amenities and luxuries, we'll say, that you would have in a place like Ambergris Caye, where Ambergris Caye has a much bigger population and much higher tourism. If you do come here to Hopkins, what I highly recommend is doing the bioluminescence tour with the Happy Go Lucky tours. It is only happening during a certain time of year. I want to say it is the end of the year, so like December through about April. I could be a little bit off there with the months, but just contact them if you're planning to be in Hopkins. This is a fantastic ride. They do a boat ride. It's like a sunset boat ride that they do down the City River, and you can see the different animals and hear the different sounds from the animals. And then you get to a lagoon area where when you take the paddle or you just jump right in, there's the bioluminescence in the water, and it's just this colorful turquoise light that comes from the water. And you can jump in if you want to, or just use that paddle and create some waves to see it. But truly an experience that I've never had. I've done that tour a few times as well, because every time I just continue to really, really enjoy it. So last but not least, we're going to look at Placencia. Placencia is a peninsula, and it is smaller than Ambergris Caye. Population-wise, about 5,000 people. I also put on here Maya Beach, because Maya Beach is the area just north of the peninsula. The southern part of the peninsula is called Placencia, and then above that, and the northern part of the peninsula, it's called Maya Beach. So this is an area that I often refer to as like the Cape Cod or the Montauk of Belize, because you tend to have larger single-family homes here. You have larger boats. Because Placencia is not as close to the reef as Ambergris Caye and Caye Caulker, you can have the larger boats. When you go to the northern Keys, the reef is right there, so the water is very shallow, so you can't have deep boats. So if having a large boat is something that's really important to you, or having a bigger single family home, then this is an area that you'll want to go to. Placencia has a lot of single family homes. There tends to be a bit, I personally think, of oversaturation there. You tend to see a lot of single family homes for sale, but that could be better from the negotiation perspective. But here you will tend to find a lot of island hopping on the southern part of the country. The southern keys are right there off the coast of Placencia, so you can hop on a boat and then go check out the different keys. It is popular for snorkeling and diving, but do note you are about an hour and a half away from the reef, whereas in Ambergris Caye, you're 5 minutes away from the reef. So it just depends. If you're willing to be in the boat for a little bit longer, you can still enjoy the reef from Placencia. And it is a lot quieter compared to Ambergris Caye. You can see it's a small area, smaller destination compared to Ambergris. So you don't necessarily have all of those luxuries that you would have in Ambergris, but you do tend to have quite a bit of development happening in Placencia. So this was just a snapshot of the 6 areas. I'm going to highlight them for you again. Corozal, that is on the northern part of the country in the Corozal district on the Chetumal Bay. So you do have the water there. You have that easy access to Mexico. Ambergris Caye is the Key West 30 years ago. That's the sort of feel and vibe that you get from the island over here. This is the #1 tourism destination for the entire country. Caye Caulker, a much smaller, quieter version of San Pedro, of Ambergris Caye. Then you have Cayo. This is the area that is known, I love the slogan, "We grow Belize," that is known for the agricultural land, jungles, rivers. In addition to that, we have Hopkins. Hopkins is that small fishing village, Garifuna population there. Great for somebody who's looking for a more colorful environment, quieter, much quieter, and just really relaxing and close access to also hiking. And then last but not least, Placencia, which is about 3 hours from Belize City. And here, acquired a version of Ambergris Caye, but you do tend to have larger single family homes and also larger boats in this area. Oh, I didn't mention my favorite thing here is the pontoon ride, the sunset pontoon ride with Sandy Cove Belize Tours. Again, done this tour multiple times as well. It's fantastic. The owners, Rico and Vanessa, they'll put together a little cheese platter for you, have some wine, and you just go through the waters there off the coast of Placencia. And it's truly just beautiful and breathtaking. So with that, that was a snapshot of everything. You know, I would recommend having some idea of what you're looking for, and then that way we can really dial into the different areas. But I hope this was a good overview for you, just a very quick overview of where we're seeing many people are purchasing in the country. And if it's a place, Belize is a place that you are interested in, do feel free to reach out to us. We have an incredible team here at Luna Realty Belize that can help you find the right property depending on where it is in the country you want to be. Reach out to us. Email address is info@lunarealtybelize.com, info@lunarealtybelize.com, and our team looks forward to hearing from everyone. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in paradise soon. Bye, everyone.